History is a river of triumph and tragedy, its currents shaped by ambition, betrayal, and the relentless pursuit of power. But some stories force us to confront the darkest depths of human nature, where love and loyalty are twisted by fear and desire. Over 2,000 years ago, the Han Dynasty emerged from chaos, led by Emperor Gaozu, a man of humble origins who seized the throne and changed the fate of China forever. Yet behind his rise stood Empress Lü Zhi, not just a consort, but a formidable political force whose influence would echo through the ages. Lü Zhi was intelligent, ruthless, and fiercely protective of her son, Liu Ying, the heir. Her devotion to her family was matched only by her cunning. Hardened by war and sacrifice, she learned that power was seized and kept through strength and fear. Every hardship she endured became a lesson in survival. The imperial court was a nest of intrigue, where every gesture could mask a plot, and every word could be a weapon. Empress Lü Zhi mastered this deadly dance, orchestrating alliances and rooting out threats to her son's future. She became a shadowy architect of fate, always watching, always planning. But the emperor's affections were divided. He favored another consort, Lady Qi, and her son, Liu Ruyi, creating a dangerous rift within the royal family. This favoritism ignited a rivalry that would shake the empire, pitting mother against mother and son against son. As Emperor Gaozu's health failed, the question of succession became urgent. The palace was gripped by anxiety as every faction prepared for the coming storm. Would the throne pass to Liu Ying, the empress's son, raised in the shadow of his mother's ambition, or to the beloved Liu Ruyi, whose mother's influence threatened to upend the established order? The fate of the dynasty hung in the balance as two powerful women prepared for a collision that would end in horror and heartbreak. In the palace's shadowed halls, ambition and jealousy simmered, poisoning every relationship and turning allies into enemies. Empress Lü Zhi saw Lady Qi not just as a rival for affection, but as a threat to her life's work, her legacy, and her very survival. The emperor's weakness for Lady Qi would prove fatal, not just for him but for everyone caught in the struggle. The seeds of tragedy had been sown. The stage was set for a battle of wills, where mercy would be a casualty, and only the most ruthless could hope to survive. This is the story of how a throne was forged in blood, and how vengeance would leave a scar on history that would never fully heal. The struggle for power was about to become a struggle for survival, as the palace descended into chaos and fear. In the end, only one woman's ambition would shape the destiny of China, casting a long shadow over the empire's future, and her methods would become legend, whispered in fear and awe for generations to come. At the heart of this tale is a rivalry that would shape the fate of an empire, a conflict that simmered beneath the surface of the Han Dynasty's glittering court. Fueled by love, power, and fear, it was a struggle that would leave scars on everyone involved. Empress Lü Zhi had stood by Emperor Gaozu from the very beginning, sharing both hardship and victory, her loyalty unwavering through years of uncertainty. But as his power grew, so did his affection for Lady Qi, a talented, captivating consort whose beauty and wit enchanted the emperor and many at court. Lady Qi's influence was more than personal. It threatened the very order of succession, casting a shadow over the future of the dynasty. She openly lobbied for her son, Liu Ruyi, to replace Liu Ying as heir, defying tradition and risking the wrath of the empress. The empress's world teetered on the edge, her position and her son's future hanging by a thread. Ministers and officials were forced to choose sides, and the court became a battlefield of whispers, alliances, and secret promises. Lü Zhi, a master strategist, rallied her supporters and reminded them of their loyalty to the rightful heir, weaving a web of influence throughout the palace. Her political maneuvering prevailed. The emperor was convinced that changing the succession would plunge the dynasty into chaos and instability. Lady Qi's ambitions were thwarted, but the empress's hatred was now set in stone, her heart hardened by betrayal and fear. The near loss of everything she'd fought for left Lü Zhi cold and calculating, her mind turning to thoughts of retribution. She would never forgive Lady Qi for threatening her son's future, nor would she forget the humiliation she endured. The empress waited, biding her time, knowing that the emperor's death would remove the last shield protecting her rival and open the path for her revenge. The seeds of vengeance had been sown, and the harvest would be bitter, touching not just the rivals but everyone in the imperial court. The court, once a place of beauty and ceremony, became a crucible of fear, suspicion, and silent dread. Every gesture, every word was a move in a deadly game, where trust was a rare and dangerous commodity. Lady Qi's defeat was only the beginning, the first act in a tragedy that would echo through generations. The Empress's patience would soon give way to a storm of retribution, her vengeance as inevitable as the coming storm. The moment of reckoning was drawing near, and the entire court braced for the consequences. And when it came, it would change the course of history, leaving a legacy of both warning and wonder for those who followed. 195 BC. The Han dynasty stands at a crossroads, its fate hanging in the balance. Emperor Gaozu dies, and the balance of power shifts overnight. The empire mourns, but beneath the surface, ambition stirs. Liu Ying becomes Emperor Hui, but real authority belongs to his mother, Empress Dowager Lü Zhi. She rules from the shadows, her influence absolute. Lady Qi, once protected by the late emperor's favor, is now exposed to the empress's wrath. Her allies vanish, and fear takes their place. Lü Zhi's revenge is not swift. It is calculated, cruel, and relentless. She plots in silence, her vengeance growing colder with each passing day. Lady Qi is stripped of her titles, imprisoned, and forced into hard labor. The palace that once sheltered her becomes her prison. Even in misery, Lady Qi clings to hope, singing a lament for her distant son, Liu Ruyi. Her voice echoes through the cold stone, a mother's love refusing to die. But her song seals her fate. The Empress sees it as rebellion. In Lü Zhi's eyes, even hope is a threat. Now, Lü Zhi turns her gaze to Liu Ruyi, the last threat to her son's reign. The young prince's innocence cannot shield him from palace intrigue. She summons him to the capital under the guise of a royal visit. The journey is filled with uncertainty, and danger lurks behind every corner. Emperor Hui, horrified by his mother's intentions, tries to protect his half-brother, never leaving his side. He is torn between duty and compassion. For a brief moment, compassion shields the young prince. The brothers share fleeting moments of peace, unaware of the storm gathering. But the Empress is patient. She waits for a single lapse, her resolve unshaken. One morning, Emperor Hui leaves for a hunt, and Liu Ruyi is left alone. The palace grows eerily quiet. The Empress seizes her chance. An assassin delivers poisoned wine. The act is swift, the outcome inevitable. By the time Emperor Hui returns, his brother is dead. Grief and guilt consume him. Lady Qi's last hope is extinguished. Her world collapses in silence and sorrow. The Empress's vengeance is nearly complete. Her enemies have fallen, but her heart remains cold. Now she turns her full attention to Lady Qi, preparing a punishment that will shock the world. The court whispers in fear, dreading what is to come. The palace, once a place of splendor, becomes a theater of cruelty. Shadows lengthen as the final act approaches. The final act of revenge is about to begin. The air is thick with dread, and no one dares to speak. No one in the court will ever forget what comes next. And neither will history, for the echoes of this night will haunt the dynasty for generations. With Lady Qi broken and her son dead, Empress Lü Zhi prepares her final monstrous act. Death is too merciful. Lü Zhi wants Lady Qi erased, body and soul. She orders a punishment so horrific it earns a name, the human pig. Lady Qi's limbs are amputated, her eyes gouged out, her voice destroyed, her hearing taken. She is left a living, suffering shell, stripped of all dignity, cast into a latrine. The Empress's cruelty is absolute. Lady Qi is kept alive, a spectacle of agony and humiliation. The court is forced to witness the depths of Lü Zhi's vengeance. Lady Qi becomes a symbol, not of rebellion, but of the Empress's unyielding power. The human pig is a warning. Cross the Empress, and you risk losing not just your life, but your very humanity. In the darkness, Lady Qi's suffering becomes legend. The human pig punishment was more than torture. It was a message. Empress Lü Zhi summoned her son, Emperor Hui, to witness her creation. He was led to the foul pit where Lady Qi, now unrecognizable, writhed in filth. At first, he could not comprehend the horror before him. When told it was Lady Qi, the shock shattered him. Emperor Hui broke down, declaring, "This is not something a human would do." The trauma destroyed his spirit. He withdrew from rule, consumed by grief and shame. The Empress's warning to her enemies had destroyed her own son. Emperor Hui's reign ended in depression and early death. The spectacle had served its purpose, but at a terrible cost. The court was left haunted by the Empress's cruelty. The human pig became a legend of terror. The human pig punishment did not end with Lady Qi. Its cruelty became a symbol reserved for traitors and enemies of the state. Dismemberment mirrored the crime of tearing the empire apart. Eyes, tongue, limbs, each mutilation reflected the traitor's offense. It was political theater, a warning to all. The throne's power was absolute. Rarely used, its horror echoed through later dynasties. The story of Empress Lü Zhi's vengeance became a blueprint for tyranny. The human pig was the ultimate threat, unmaking a person as a lesson to all. Its legacy was a shadow over Chinese history. Why does this story endure? Because it reveals the extremes of human cruelty and ambition. Empress Lü Zhi is remembered as both a stabilizing ruler and a symbol of monstrous vengeance. Her legacy is forever stained by the human pig. Lady Qi, once celebrated for her beauty, is remembered for her suffering. Their story became a cautionary tale, how personal hatred can poison power. The historian Sima Qian recorded every detail, ensuring the tale would never fade. Through his words, the screams and tears of that era still echo. The human pig is a permanent ghost in the corridors of history. The human pig punishment stands as a grim monument in history. It's a warning about the dangers of unchecked power and the darkness it can unleash. Empress Lü Zhi's act became a benchmark for tyranny, shaping debates on justice for centuries. The horror of her revenge inspired calls for more humane governance. The story has echoed through literature, opera, and film, retold as a dark fairy tale. It reminds us how quickly civilization's veneer can be stripped away by hatred and jealousy. Lady Qi's pain is a warning etched into cultural memory. The human pig is a mirror, reflecting the inhumanity we must guard against. What can we learn from this ancient horror? The story of the human pig is a lesson in the dangers of absolute power and unchecked vengeance. It shows why checks and balances, rule of law, and accountability are vital. Lü Zhi's revenge consumed her and destroyed her own son. The cycle of cruelty benefits no one. This tale urges us to seek justice, not vengeance, and to protect human dignity. By confronting such darkness, we strengthen our compassion. History is not just facts, it's a mirror for our own choices. If you want to explore more stories that challenge our understanding of the world, subscribe and join the conversation. What lessons do you draw from the tale of the human pig?